to strap in and get ready.
The leaders in AFL SuperCoach are incoming, helping you win your leagues and climb up the rankings.
You're now listening to the Insight AFL Show with your hosts, Big Horse and Skinny.
Good evening and welcome to the Inside AFL Show. I'm your host, The Horse, and with me back 8 o'clock every Tuesday night, as we've done for the past, what is it now, 8 weeks, mate? It's Hurls.
Yes, something like that. How are you, mate?
Yeah, well, how are you going?
Right. I'm good. I'm loving the complexity of this year. It's frustrating where we're all sitting but geez, it's like a Rubik's Cube. Trying to get this team finished, and I've never experienced it this hard before, but loving the puzzle that is SuperCoach this year and see where it ends up by the end of the year.
It's been like no other season, has it? We've seen on social media, we've done our own search, that no matter what rookies you've started with, you could have started with the right ones. You could have started with the wrong ones. Either way, that first initial cash generation was okay. And then since then, there's just been a lull, hasn't there? Regardless of whether you had Hewitt, who's been a moneymaker lately, he started off ordinarily.
Yep.
Sheldrick, he started off really poorly and has only really come on the last couple of weeks. Ashcroft started well, but has petered out the last couple of weeks. You got McKercher, who dropped down under 300K, who's now looking like he could score like a primo. It's all over the place, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's the second wave of rookies that we rely on so heavily it's always tricky because the first wave are the ones that are selected in their starting team. So we get a sense over the preseason that they're the ones that the coaches think are best 23. And so we pick them and that kind of stuff. But obviously to generate enough cash to get to the magical 14 mil, which none of us are really getting there yet, you need that second wave. You need the rookies that you downgrade to also make you the 100, 150K. And this year just hasn't happened. It's actually been really interesting. And I've been telling a few people recently, if the same thing happens again next year with the vest, I think the vest has a big part in it. Like it's, because you get so many of them that get either start as the sub or get subbed off during a game, it's meant that the low scores stay in their cycles, etc. I think if that happens again next year, we seriously need to think about, do we look at that second wave differently? And instead of just culling rooks for other rooks and unlocking the cash, some of them might need to be sideways rooks to overpriced rooks, like these ones, like you just mentioned, Sheldrick, McAuliffe. This second wave's probably been in that 230 to 300K range. That has resulted in $100,000 profit or $150,000 profit, whereas going down to the 119s has sort of meant we've got a lot of dead rookies on our benches now.
Yeah, as we can see by your team there, like Lindsay's been good, but he's probably done now. He was subbed out on the weekend. Hustwaite, the pencil, Boxall, Boyd, who looks so good in the preseason. Keeler, he's started to come on now.
Yeah,
Simpson, that couldn't be foreseen with what happened there. Campbell Gray gets dropped because Bolter comes back in and then does his knee in the VFL. Connor Stone, he had a good game, like his best game, and then got dropped. So, like, it doesn't matter which way you've gone this year. It just seems like everyone's getting stuck at around the same, I guess, juncture where you've got 2 or 3 primos left to fill your side, and where's that cash coming from?
Yeah, I think, and everyone's in the same boat. I think we're looking at a few of the top kind of ranked teams and where they're at. I think what they've done better than me, at least, probably better than many of us, is they really did hold on to those mid prices like Chera, Will Ashcroft, Rosie, and these kind of guys lot longer than I did. I have a SuperCoach sort of philosophy around stepping stones, and those of you who have watched me all year and are in our Patreon and read the articles that I write and stuff know sort of that I always view those guys as soon as I can. And I think one of them that was a perfect example was Chera. Like I got Chera to Nick Dacos for $70,000. In my philosophy,
good move. Yeah.
Great win, right? Like they were 200K apart at the start of the year. And so in my mind, it's like, all right, I can get there now for 70K instead of 200K. So that's a win. What ended up happening, though, Dacos has copped some tags. Chera's probably outperformed Dacos since then. And it's meant that I've used trades to move those guys, and the ones I've moved to haven't worked. I think that's doubly compounded why I'm where I'm at. Whereas some of those top teams have just held those guys all the way through, and now they've got probably only 2 upgrades to make, whereas I've still got 3, 4, or 5, depending on how you look at it.
That's right. Mate, before we kick off tonight, I want to give a shout out to a lad in our Insight Unlimited crew. So we've got almost 1,250 players or coaches inside our Unlimited League this year. And Coach Graham of I Bid You a Blue won the 2K this week, the Herald Sun 2K, being a subscriber or gold subscriber to the Herald Sun. So, Graham, congratulations. You got yourself 2K, and you've also won yourself a prize here. So give us a DM, mate, and we'll send you a prize pack thanks to the guys at the Standard Squeeze. And also, mate, before you go, the doc from within our Patreon just sent us a text message saying that he's in the bath and not to let the blood run through it too much while he's listening in, watching us.
Well done, Graham, too. Have to shout out that. That's brilliant. I'm sure he loves the Standard Squeeze prize pack way more than the 2K, but it's good to get both. So well done.
Oh, that's me. Thanks, boys.
There he is.
There he is.
Is it Cal? Is it Cal Gray? Well done, Cal. Brilliant.
Well, send me a text. I'll sort you out, brother. Fucking shit hot. Well done. He went absolutely pod with his team as well, and it paid off tremendously, winning $2,000 this week. So congratulations, mate. But as we all know, this show is going to be brought to you by the Standard Squeeze, so helping you drink responsibly and conveniently. You can use the promo code IFS2025 to get yourself 15% off everything in store. Now, we are going to go through your team line by line because this will be out on audio, and we want to give some really good clarity around where your team stands, mate. And to start us off, your defenders are Sinclair, back off the bye this week. We're back to calling Whitfield Shitfield, given the role that he's had the last couple of weeks. Dane Zorko, who looks like he needs a walking frame with the way he's playing at the moment. Harry Sheesgod, with the way he played last week. Angus Clark, who's going to make us a shit ton of cash. Bo Allen, who got on with 4 minutes to go and didn't touch the pill. Connor Stone, who's been banished to the VFL. And Campbell Gray, who did absolutely fucking nothing wrong, got dropped and did his knee, so he's out for a couple of weeks too.
Jeez, it's horror reading, isn't it, when you go through it like that? I think, and you know, the buys, I always say to people, you got to take the buys as a 5-week block, and so you'll notice my D5 and D6 at the moment are Angus Clark and Bo Allen. Clearly, that's not going to be the case when we come out of best 18 and go to best 22. It's just been the way I've sort of structured up my team through these buys. But geez, when you read them out individually like that, it's just scary reading. I mean, Dane Zorko is a horror watch every week. Whitfield's moved. Sheasel until this week had moved. Like, I think the other thing that's been really hard to really work through this year, besides the cash gen, is these primos who you picked for a reason have just moved, and they've changed roles. Like Whitfield's a half forward, you couldn't predict that. Zorko hasn't moved, but he's copped a few tags and a few poor games. Sheasel's moved. Zach Merritt, when we get to my midfield's moved. You got so many of these blokes who you couldn't predict it.
No. Shit, no. Before you go through your team, mate, we'll go through the rest of it. So then people can get a bit of an idea inside their heads while they're driving to and from work or whatever it is that they're doing while they're listening to this on audio. Bontempelli, Brayshaw, Neal, Merritt, Dacos, Caldwell, Sheldrick, Elijah Hewitt, Lindsay, Hustwaite, and Boxall through your midfield. Cherry, Gawn, and Boyd through your ruck line. Bailey, Sniff, Christian Petracca, Matt Kennedy, Chad Warner, Isaac Rankin, Caleb Daniel, Dante Vicentini, Isaac Keeler, and Cooper Simpson in your forward line. So that gives us 4 keepers in defence and 2 rookies, 6 keepers in midfield and 2 rookies, 2 keepers for your rucks, 6 forward keepers. You've got 1 who you consider a rookie in your flex, being Vicentini, You need 5 upgrades. You've got 10 trades left, and you've got 418K in the bank.
Yeah. So the whole reason I wanted to give that whole picture is I almost went the last 2 weeks. My trades have included Roberts this week. Who was it the week before that we traded out? I can't remember, but it was all backwards and sideways stuff. So I haven't improved my rookie position over the last 2 rounds. It's stayed at needing 5 upgrades, but it's also meant that at least I've got the bit of cash in the bank at 418. So when we look at what my plans are, not every team will be able to do what I'm going to talk through because you haven't got this bulk cash in the bank. And I'm going to try to show you how I'm going to pull a rabbit out of a hat and turn those 5 spots into 5 new keepers without bringing in any rookies, which is probably giving a bit away.
Some people say that you can't polish a turd, but if you polish it hard enough, you can make it look like gold anyway. So
absolutely.
We're going to get stuck into your team, mate. So the rank at the moment is just outside the 6K mark at 6,065th, and the target is top 1%. Well, you'd be in the top 2% with that sort of rank anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure off the top of my head. It might be maybe 3%. Is about 2,000? Is it the top one? Something like that?
Not sure. Yeah.
I think 1,800 to 2,000, I think, might be top 1%. So it might be about 3% mark at the moment. But, yeah, still a bit of work to do. And, I mean, again, those who have been following me this year know that I do a lot of planning for the buys, and this is where I try to make my ground up. But it has been a little bit of a weird year. I've dropped... I think I've only dropped 600 spots. So it hasn't been disastrous by rounds by me. It's been relatively mediocre. But what I've found is, and to give you a real example, when you look at my team, this week's, I had 21 this week, and my lowest, and Bailey Smith, hurt us all. And many coaches, when Bailey Smith pulled out, you included Horse, you had to go to 1 short, right? And that meant a really shit score for you. I know it was Bo Allen, and you still got a higher score than me. But what's happening for me is I actually got the 71 from Angus Clark that dropped out because I planned so well that I had the 21 players. I got better rookies. I held better rookies on purpose so that I can make a charge over these 3 weeks. But I'm missing the ceiling scores. So I don't have the Max Holmes 150. I don't have the Tom Green 140. I don't have some of these other 120s that other primos had got. And so what I've found is that I've just treaded water, whereas I was hoping to catch up. But that wasn't because of bad planning. It was just because of the nature of my keepers and Zach Merritt being disappointing, Zorko disappointing, Neil disappointing, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, gotcha. We'll go through to your next page, mate, where you're going to start talking through what your potential moves are going to be this week, as we see a fair bit going on in the chat, like Skull. How are you? Kerry O'Keefe, you legend of a man. Minnie owes Bo Allen a foot rub. Yeah, fucking oath after last week. And even though I said, what's that?
I was going to say, well, he was sub last week and he got a 0, but I'm really nervous that he's already come out and said he can't make him sub 3 games in a row. And are we going to see negative 14 this time?
He's going to get dropped. To me, that says he's going to get time in the 2s as a full game or something.
Maybe.
But you can roll a turd in glitter. So we can still make it look good.
There you go.
What do you reckon? So round 14 trades, your first scenario, mate. Do you want to go through it?
Yeah, so I'm only going to present, I've got a few ideas in mind. I'm going to present one scenario, and the reason I'm going to present this one is this is probably the most creative of what I'm thinking, and it also might help people out there that have got something similar to me, 10 trades left. Like I said, I've got 400K in the bank, so you might not be able to do this exactly the same way, but the principles will still hold true. So this week what I'm thinking is I'm trading out Zach Merritt, Xavier Lindsay and Dante Vicentini, and bring in Zach Butters, TDK, and Colby McKercher. And so you'll notice through my trades over the next few weeks, I am avoiding rookies at all costs. I don't need them anymore. But that's because I'm generating cash through 2 of my primos, being Zach Merritt this week and Max Gone next week. And what I'm doing this week, if you look at it in isolation, 1 trade at a time, Merritt goes to McKercher to unlock 150K. I've got 400K in the bank, so that means Vicentini and Lindsay can go to Butters and TDK for me. The reason that I'm going TDK, just to to talk you through it. I'll hold 3 rucks this week. Max Gawn stays in for another week, and I'll have Sherry and Gawn in my ruck 1 and 2. TDK will go into flex just for 1 week. And the plan next week is after Max Gawn destroys Vicentini this week, I get the luxury of TDK playing against Flynn on whatever it is, Saturday or Sunday. Yeah. And then next week I move TDK to R2 and I trade Max Gawn out to NAS to unlock another 160k. So I'm avoiding all rookies and I'm making 360k by downgrading primos to, I don't know, budget primos, if you want to call it that. So that's my strategy, because I can't get to 22 or 23 if I go the traditional route. The cash gen just isn't there. I've tried to do every number. The best I can do is like 22 and a half, if you want to call it that. So McKerch has presented a really nice opportunity, I think, for all of us, because if the roll holds, I think at 393k we can take advantage of him, and he can probably average, well, let's be honest, he's going to average the same as Merritt at the moment. Now, Merritt has spikes in him, so I'm not anticipating that Merritt won't come good at some point. But as an Essendon fan, I know the role is messy at the moment because he's been asked to play some halfback because our defence is shot. He's got the round 16 bye. He gets a tag every time. Our fixture is ugly. And so I'm just saying, well, thanks, Zach. I love you, but I'm moving you on. No hard feelings.
No, that's right. I did do a bit of digging, and Aqua HD in the chat beat me to it. But whenever McKercher played at halfback last year as a rookie or this year, you combine all of that and the average is 106, which, you know, if he goes at 106 per game for the rest of the year, you'd almost be happy with that at D6.
Yeah, I think if he goes a flat 100, I'll take it. I mean, D6 at the moment's averaging about 105 or 6 last time I checked.
Yep.
I'm viewing this really as, well, McKerch has got 2 things in his advantage. He could probably go 100 if he stays in that role. He's got spike scores in him, which we saw on the weekend. Now, he's not going to get 144 every week, but he has got that spike score in him when he plays a really good game. And he's got the luxury of mid-forward DPP, mid-defense DPP. So it means you got a little bit of flexibility there with guys like Bo Allen, who's going to stay in my team probably for the year. I've got Sheasel and Sinclair, who are the more primo style defenders who have that swing as well. And most likely, if I do bring a rookie in later, it's going to be Tom McCarthy, and he also has the defensive mid swing. So it just allows that little bit more flexibility for anything that goes wrong later as well.
What would you tell people that are looking to go early on McCarthy? So for me, I don't know whether the messaging is going to be different from you and I, or whether it's going to be the same, but like there's a lot of expectation on this McCarthy kid, but he hasn't played an AFL game yet. Like realistically, we don't know what to expect, whether he's going to be a 20 touches a game and a 65 SuperCoach points per game. And people are almost already thinking, all right, he's going to play halfback. He's been getting a lot of the ball in the VFL. That's going to translate to the AFL. But as we all know, the AFL is a different league of its own. And I understand it being West Coast and the ball's going to be down there a lot, but do you see this maybe an 80 average coming out of a McCarthy who, by his own credit, like he got undrafted, or he was undrafted, went away, worked away at his craft in the VFL, and now he's been picked up and now he's given a shot? Or where do you see this going for McCarthy?
I think that, there's rumour that he might make his debut this week. I understand why people are going early, and it's really just to unlock cash, not to do anything else. So I get it. I think if you could afford to not go early, I'd probably say hold off, because we've all seen what happens sometimes. Get injured or something, and then you've got another dead rookie. But I also do understand that if people need someone to go down to, the stocks are really thin, and so they're just taking a little bit of a forecast that here's the best of the 99k blokes that can unlock the most cash, that have the potential to stay in the team. But I don't think you should be budgeting for any scores from them. If you're going to go to them, they're just to unlock cash. And if they end up being a 70 average player later, bloody bonus, right? Yeah. I think that's how you should view them.
So that's more to what I wanted to get at. That's how you need to view them. Don't bring him in expecting scores because we don't know. We don't know what we're going to get out of him. But at the same time, you could go, say, the pencil down to him and you're making 70K.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the kind of mindset you're going to go in to pick him up. It's I can unlock maximum cash from whichever rookie I go down from. But yeah, the scores are a bonus if he does play and he gets a regular game.
For sure.
So going back, so after this week, I'll have 7 trades left and 95K in the bank. So I've spent most of my bank this week, enabling Butters, TDK, and McKercher to come into the team. What that also means is I'm making this week two of the 5 upgrades because Merritt comes out. So it's not 3 rookies off the field. It's only 2 because Merritt is a sideways kind of trade. So it means I've got still 3 more to make. Round 15, as I said, is my next sort of crazy trade that I wouldn't do in any normal year. I wouldn't recommend anyone does this normally, but I'm going to, at this stage anyway, if everything holds for another week, I'm going to trade Gawn on his buy at what I'm budgeting for about 680. He's about 690 something at the moment. I'm anticipating, I think he's got a break even at 176.
He does.
Interestingly, his last 2 games against Port, he has got a 177, and I think he will absolutely destroy Vicentini. But I'm not budgeting for him to stay at 697. I'm budgeting for him to lose 17K for 680. Yep. I'm budgeting Hewitt to get his 50 something that they forecast on SuperCoach Gold Plus to get to 340, which is I think 20K more than he is at the moment.
He's been.
And
good.
I'm going to go he's been good. And I could possibly leave him for longer, but again, he's on his buy, and I just want to then get in Mills and Nass the week after. So I think Nass will go up. I'm budgeting for about a 13K rise. Mills is on the bubble because they're going to buy this week, so that his won't change. Mm-hmm. And what that means is I'm again going a primo and a rookie out for 2 keepers. Mm-hmm. And that means I've got 2 left to upgrade after round 15 with 5 trades and about 230K in the bank.
Gotcha. Nice.
Then into round 6. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you go. Sorry. Round 16.
I was going to keep going. So then round 16, my plan is to use that 230K to go the Essendon man Clark up to a Lloyd Meek type at about 460K. So that then leaves me with 1 more upgrade to make and 4 trades in the bank. And then what I've got here, and I did notice a question, IJ, in the chat. I'll answer it here because it's relevant for this last bit. And the question was, why have I got Horn Francis in the image? For those of you who are watching on YouTube, why is he floating there at like an M9? So my thinking after round 16 is I've got 22 keepers, I'll call them that, if you count McKercher and Mills as keepers. Yep. And I've got 4 trades left. I then have the choice at that stage to have a look at, do I want to burn 2 more trades to do something like Sheldrick and Hustwaite to Horn Francis and McCarthy to make that 23rd a more legitimate option? Now, whether I do or I don't will depend on how Sheldrick's going, how he's scoring, how the alternatives are going, because there's blokes, and I'm just using Horn Francis as an example here, again, DPP, and looks like about 460K at the time of round 16. The other ones in my mind are blokes like Sam Darcy at 440. Yeah, that's the dollar ballpark I can shop in for that 23rd primo. But what that will mean if I do it is I'm leaving myself in round 17, 2 trades left for injuries for the rest of the year. So if Sheldrick's going okay, there's the option to not do that as well and just hold 4, go with 22 and Sheldrick until I need to move him. And Sheldrick being probably 400K plus at that stage is a real bonus for me because I wasn't expecting him to get that high. And if he stays in the midfield role, pumping out 90s plus, I've probably got the luxury of time then to not have to do it in round 17. Just hold the 4 trades for disaster. For
just
longer.
let him keep scoring. Yeah, for sure.
So that's the plan. Like it's probably the only time in the last 3 or 4 weeks the money has looked realistic for me. Like, and it means that Gawn and Merritt have to go. And for this to work, I really need McKercher, De Koning, and the Lloyd Meek in, whoever that Lloyd Meek is, whichever that flex spot is. They need to really go at the sort of similar, like, if Merritt and Gawn go back to 130 and 120 average, this is going to burn me. But you got to take some risks, and that's where I'm sort of going to play.
We've spoken about it both on this episode every Tuesday and within the Patreon, mate, that no matter how good you are, if you keep being put in multiple roles and that you're being diverse for the good of the team, James Sicily being another one, that is nowhere near the type of bloke that Merritt is. Merritt's actually a good bloke. But when we're talking about footballers, you can't consistently score your 100s, 110s, 120s when we're talking SuperCoach. If one week you're playing half forward, the next week you're playing half back, the next week you're playing midfield, the next week you're taking kick-outs. Like it's all over the place. And we've seen it with Whitfield, we've seen it with Sheasel, we've seen it with Sicily, we've seen it with Merritt now. There's other players that it's happened with as well. You've almost just got to go, all right, I've got to get rid of him now and cut my losses while his price point is at a point where I can pick up another primo who I think will score well for the remainder of the year. McKercher could be in that same boat as well. He started forward, dropped to under 300K, and now look what he's doing.
Yeah. And look, if I had the luxury of cash gen, I wouldn't be doing these things, right? I would back that at some point Merritt's going to go back into the middle after the Essendon bye when we get some defenders back. Like I looked at the injury list today, everyone's due back in 3 weeks. So I would certainly hold if I could. So there's going to be people looking at this going, oh, why would you get rid of Gawn? Why would you get rid of Merritt? It doesn't make any sense. I agree with you. It doesn't make any sense. But I'm looking for 2 ways to unlock about, what does it unlock? Let's call it 320K, 340K to enable me to finish my team with some trades in the bank that gives me the best realistic chance of and I'm going okay in my leagues. And this is the other thing in my mind. I'm an overall rank player. I try to get the highest rank possible, but obviously we all play leagues as well. And interestingly, I'm in the 8 in most of my leagues. And so I'm trying to give myself the best chance of still having some chance in the finals when that comes around. And if I just sit there and go, like I could easily go this week because I've got the 440K in the bank. The really simple trades for me could be bring Nass in, bring Butters in, and bring Zach Johnson in from Essendon and drop a dead rookie like Connor Stone, drop Lindsay, and drop Vicentini. So I'm not touching Merritt. I'm not touching any of the, and I could do that. And then the week after I could bring Mills in for Hewitt, probably for not much coin because it's only going to be 20K separating them, etc. And I could play that safe, easy game all the way through. But when I've done all the maths, where that's going to get me is it's going to get me to about 21 primos plus Sheldrick plus a donkey in flex. And I don't want to sit there. I'd rather this option where I can go to 22 plus Sheldrick or 23. And that's then my choice in round 16, whether I pull the trigger on those 2 trades to get Sheldrick out. And as I said before, that'll depend on how he's going at the time.
Yep, love it, mate. While you bring up the SuperCoach app, because we're going to go go through a few trade scenarios, we're just going to run through where the members can find all of this information and more every day of the week.
Want to take your SuperCoach game to the next level? Inside Fantasy Sports are bringing you exclusive content all year round, such as weekly expert Q&As, team, trade, and captaincy advice, statistical deep dives, priority podcast questions, and tons more. So what are you waiting for? Get full access to the experts. Go to patreon.com/Insight Fantasy Sports and subscribe to Insight Unlimited today.
Spot on. So here we see that Hurl scored 1988 last week. Nice projected score of up over 2,100 this week with his 7 trades remaining. Go through it, Hurls. What have you done so far this week that you're looking at doing, or give us some scenarios of what might happen?
Yeah, so at the moment what I've got in my team is the one that I showed everyone in that other presentation. So it's McKercher, Butters, and De Koning in for Vicentini, Lindsay, and Merritt. So that's the first logical option. That's the one I'm leaning to the most. The other ones that I'm sort of, got in the back of my mind, if I just cancel this for a second, I don't have to go to De Koning. Like the De Koning play for me has some advantages because I get the matchups this week that really should maximize this week's scoring, and it gives me the Max Gawn play for next week. But if I didn't go that way, probably the other way I would go is I would just go to Nas this week, like a lot of the population are doing. And if I can find him here, so here he is. So, and that would give me a little bit more in the bank. But again, when I'm weighing it up, I think TDK, just on the law of averages, should outscore Nas this week, given the matchup. TDK against Flynn, whereas Nas, he's probably going to score okay, but a ruckman you would bank to score more than a defender. And then, like I said, the challenge with going Wang this week is it locks in my trade next week. If I still want to get Gawn out, I then have to go Gawn to TDK next week, and I miss his score against Flynn. So that's why I'm bringing that the other way around. I still plan to bring Nas in next week, but I just do it in the other way, trying to chase a bit of a score. Now, I could get it wrong. Nas might get 150 and TDK might get 110, and it cost me 40 points. But that's just the logic I'm going with.
I know it's easy to look at it now and go, right, Gawn's going to monster Vicentini. We saw Madden do what he did on the weekend, and I didn't see the game, but you watched it, and you said that while Madden looked raw, it looks like he's got a potential future there as the ruckman at GWS.
Yeah.
But when we're talking Gawn versus Vicentini and then TDK versus Flynn, is there really going to be that much of a difference in scoring this week, Gawn versus TDK?
Maybe not, but that's why I'm going to bring both of them in. That's why I want to go the other option, and because Gawn's on the bye next week, so next week he doesn't play at all. But this week, if I can maximize, I mean, Sherry, he'll still get good scores against Jackson this week, or Darcy, or whoever Freo decide to front up against him. And then I'm going to maximize the Gawn TDK combination against the two best rucks, probably matchups. If you say probably at the moment the three best ruck matchups you can get, Port Adelaide with Vicentini, Flynn with West Coast with Flynn, and Essendon with Goldie. So I've got two of those three matchups for this week's round if I go that way.
Yep. Let's talk, mate. So Sam Doherty.
Yep.
He's come up in a bit of conversation over the last couple of weeks, and he's gone back into that role across halfback for Carlton. And we saw at the start of I believe it was the 2024 season, the 2023 season, sorry, because he's done his knee and then he got injured, had the testicular cancer. He's come back from that. Now he's back in that pig role that we know that he can play so well. He's gone back-to-back tons since going back into that halfback role. He's at 403K. He's got a break-even of 13. Plays West Coast this week. Carlton have a very juicy run on the way home. Is there any interest in picking up a ancient Sam Doherty for the run home?
Yeah, there is. And Monday night when we did our review show of last round, I probably had thought in my mind that I was going to pick up both McKercher and Doherty this week. And that was how I was going to unlock the extra cash, until I did some tinkering today. And I thought I can unlock the same cash by going Max Gawn next week and take advantage of the same matchup, but with the ruckman rather than the backman. So that's this is probably my next plays is if I hold Max Gawn all year, if I take that Max Gawn cash play out of the equation, my trades this week probably would have been Sam Doherty, McKercher, and Butters in. I think it's a good. If you want some, let's call them mid-price madness. If you want to take a punt on three blokes, I think the three, and I'll put them in the order I'm ranking them. doesn't mean that they're the best order. I think the order I'm ranking them are McKercher first, Doherty second, and Miles Bergman third. I think those three are really good options for people. If you're struggling to fill your team with 540k blokes, these are some viable options that might hold good roles for the run home and still score you maybe 95 to 105 on any given day. So I think if you're looking for that value, they're three blokes I would definitely look at.
I'm going to highlight this comment because it has some relevance to what we're talking about at the moment, mate. IJ, he makes it sound like Doherty is a doctor that hurts you. I'd rather Ben Keys than Doc Hurdy.
Yeah. Look, I am not. You can probably talk to us about being a Ben Keys owner now, mate, because you are a very happy owner. But I can't go there. And I say this all the time, and you probably heard even in today's kind of conversation, I'm looking for role. Ben Keys, while he's scoring well, doesn't have a role that I want in SuperCoach. He's got a half-forward role. He's playing it really well. He scored 120 last week, which is brilliant, but he kicked 3 goals. I'm not buying into a half-forward flanker for my risk. I'm going to buy into a back flanker like a McKercher or a Doherty or a midfielder like Bergman. They're the risks I want to take versus the risks I don't want to take with a Keys.
I get it. I totally get it. It was the, I guess, the people of the community that spoke last week and sort of forced my hand into having to pick him up. But he did make a lot of money last week, almost 50K.
Yep.
He's got a break even of 11 this week. If he does what SuperCoach Gold says he's going to do, if he scores 76, he's going to make another 30K. So he'll be up around 430K. I guess the exciting thing for me being a Ben Keys owner, and mind you, I do own Rankin and Dawson as well. After this week, Hawthorn at Tassie, they've got Richmond, Melbourne in Adelaide. The Dogs at Marvel will be hard, but then they go on a run, 4 out of 5 at home, Gold Coast at home, Port Adelaide at home, Hawthorn at home, West Coast away, Collingwood at home, and finish off with North Melbourne. It's a pretty juicy run if you're an Adelaide supporter.
It is a good run. I think, and this is something that we probably need to remind ourselves of next year, Horse, when we start thinking about building a team. I think we put a lot of emphasis this year in particular, or I know I did, in the first half of the year fixture, and we picked Brisbane blokes, we picked Essendon blokes, we picked some of these teams that had really good matchups in the first half.
Yep.
And what it's meant for me now that I'm down low on trades is I can't buy into the Geelong run, the Bulldogs run, the Adelaide run that are all really juicy because I don't have the trades left to be able to do it. And they've got round 16 buys or round 15 buys that I've got, I'm not trying to buy into yet. And by the time I can, I'll be down to 4 trades, so I won't be using any trades. So I think next year it's something to think about either spreading the risk a bit more across and hoping that the first half of the season you're still in the hunt and then you're getting the good fixtures coming home, or maybe even going a bit top heavy in the back half and relying on that run home to help you out. I think this year I probably went too far tilted towards the first half of the year, but what you're saying is spot on. I'd love a few more Adelaide, Geelong, St Kilda, Bulldogs blokes.
Do you think it's viable for a Sam Darcy or a Riley Thilthorpe towards the back end of the year, given their runs? Then, if I'm saying that you and I are both going to be low on trade, so we've got to be quite wary of where we go and what we do. But for someone that's got, say, 10, 11 trades left and, maybe looking for a budget buy, even if they're low on trades and the cash generation isn't quite there, you could get Sam Darcy in 2 weeks at 420K, or you could get Thilthorpe at 400K in a couple of weeks. So you've got him there, mate, 486K. It's got a break even of 133 this week. What did he score last week? I don't think he scored very well.
58. So that'll roll through for a few weeks. He's going to go down a bit more in cash. You're probably going to buy him for the Richmond game if you want to buy him for the run home, around 16 after their bye. I don't mind it. I think, and I've heard a few people say, and our mate Kizzo is big on this, when you're not at the pointy end of the season, like, and none of us are, like I'm 6,000, I'm probably not winning 50K from SuperCoach this year, even though I'd love to think I could make a run. I just don't have the cash gen and don't have the personnel, right? Teams at the pointy end are far better than mine.
Skull, he doesn't have Ben Keys. That's what it is.
Buying some blokes that you love watching, that also, you don't want to just buy randoms for no reason, but guys like Thilthorpe, who has a part-time ruck role, Sam Darcy, if he comes back and looks like he's going to be as he was at the start of the year after his knee, and he probably take a few weeks to sort of get back into the swing of AFL. But once he does, geez, they're bloody good footballers. They're great to watch. They can score highly. So I don't think they're bad plays. I mentioned earlier, my 23rd, if I go there, will be in this ballpark for that last position. It'll be a 400 to 470K bloke. And these are the kind of names I'm just thinking in the back of my mind. It could be Darcy, I'll probably lean more towards Darcy than Thilthorpe personally. And I think that's just because of the ability to spike. I think what we saw from Darcy at the start of this year is even playing as a key forward, which we know key forwards can be tough watches in SuperCoach. He's a bit unique, and he can just score so big. So I think he's probably the one in that bunch that if I went to a forward, I'd probably have him as the slight favourite.
Now, neither of us are, while you're looking up Sam Darcy there, neither of us are Richmond people. Oh, sorry, we'll go through Sam Darcy now. Yeah. He's got a break-even of 191. He's projected to lose 52K this week, so that would take him to about 45K next week. Yep. Quick maths. So in a couple of weeks' time for that Richmond matchup, he could be, as you can see on your screen there, he could be 415K, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's worth thinking about, right? I guess the other thing you got to think about too, and I think this is the time of year to start thinking about this. Earlier in the year, you can't because you're just trying to get your team. But if you're wanting to have one eye on your leagues, which most of us are, even if we're going for overall, at this stage of the year, you're thinking about, geez, I hope I finish in the top 4 in my leagues, and I want to have a crack at finals and stuff like that. Then you start looking at this kind of 21 to 24, and then you go, all right, if I bring Darcy in, he's got Sam Taylor in round 21, he's got May in round 22, then he's got a really juicy West Coast matchup in round 23, and he's got maybe a Pierce matchup in round 24 for Freo. So then you can start to make some decisions. Is that what you want to buy into or not? I think you have to take these things into account when you're buying these last 2 or 3 kind of primos, because we can be very short-sighted sometimes in SuperCoach, and we think about short-term cash gen, and we think about their next 3 weeks, and can we get great scores? But we also now probably should have an eye on what's it going to do in round 21 when we come into first week of league finals, and we might have 3 blokes getting tagged and 2 key forwards that have got great full backs playing on them, and it might stuff up that week, you know what I mean?
Well, we saw what happened with Charlie Curnow last year, didn't we?
Yeah.
One more player that I want to talk about, mate, who's in this mid-price madness. We're not Richmond supporters, but Dion Prestia. So the meatball that is Dion Prestia has come back from his pig strings with new pig strings, and he now has a break-even of -1 after averaging 126.5 in his last 2 games. What can we realistically expect? We see there GWS, he scored 132. Sydney, he scored 121. What can we realistically expect out of the meatball?
A hamstring injury.
How long do you give him, though?
Look, he's a week-to-week
bound to happen.
That's the huge risk with Prestia. Like he just is so injury prone that if you went there, and let's be honest, now is the time to go there. Well, not now because they're on a bye, but the week after that is the time to go Prestia if you're going to be that way inclined. So round 15 against the Bulldogs. I think let's talk the pros for bringing in Prestia. He's not going to get tagged. Teams are going to let him run around. They're going to tag probably Taranto if they're going to tag someone, which sounds crazy, but they're probably not tagging anyone from Richmond, right? So I think you're going to get that. But the problem is, can you afford an injury, and have you got the trades to fix it later on if he goes tits up?
As I put my Italia hat on and I want to go Dion, Prestia, the meatball, and the Massimo, Di Ambrosio, and you bring in the European players, a Forza, your victory, yes. Unfortunately, yes. He, as Skull would say, the meatball does have a use-by date, and it's probably in, he might play another 2 or 3 games and then do a pig string, and then it's not happily ever after. So while he's got a very favourable break even.
I was just looking at the run too. It's not bad at all.
It's a good run.
Essendon, West Coast, Collingwood, Gold Coast don't tag. St Kilda might, but they probably won't tag him. North and Geelong. It's a favourable run. If you trusted him to get through 10 weeks, which is what you're buying him for, I think, if you get onto him in round 15, 426 is value, but I don't know if we can condone the risk. That's all.
No, I don't think we can. No.
But, and I said this on Monday night as well, if you are sitting, 1500th, and you're trying to get into the top 100, let's say that's your mindset, or if you're like me, you're 6,000th and you're trying to get into the top 1%, so you got to make up 4,000 spots or whatever that is, you're not making up the ground by buying Butters, Nass, who else is going to populate in the next couple of weeks? Mills, you're not making that ground up, are you?
No.
So you might have to go at least 1 or 2 unique blokes. You don't have to go 5. You could, because I wouldn't recommend fading Butters out of all of those, because Butters, I think, has too big a ceiling and will bite you if you fade him. Whereas you might fade a Nass, you might fade a Mills, you might take a punt because Mills is risky as well, but the advantage of Mills is his price, $350. But anyway, you probably do have to take 1 or 2 risks. My risks are trading out, gone for TDK, etc., to try to generate cash a different way. If you want Prestia as part of that suite of trade-ins, you probably got, a little bit more ballsy than me, but go for it.
What do you reckon, Hurls? If I say if this video gets 75 likes, then you have to bring in Colby McKercher.
Well, I'm already bringing him in, Horse.
Oh, well, don't fucking worry about it then.
He's a definite in for me, so that's not really a...
Well, who's a risky one for you then?
Well, what about 100 likes for Sam Doherty?
Done. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. 100 likes on this video, and the man has to bring in Sam Doherty this week. Smash that like button. If you listen to us on audio, give us that 5-star review. Help us get into the ears of like-minded, banter-minded people that love a bit of SuperCoach and a bit of banter with it also. But if you can get across to YouTube, give us a like. 100 likes, and the man has to bring in Sam Doherty at the expense of probably what, Butters?
I'll probably still bring Butters.
At the expense of Wanganeen Malera, probably.
Yeah, it'll be one of. I'll work out which order I do some things, but yeah, it'll be at the expense of either TDK, Butters, or McKercher, because they're my 3 at the moment. So one of those will have to make way for Doc. So yeah, 100 likes, I'll buy into that. I'll probably regret it, but that's okay.
What could go wrong? Happett worked for me fine last week, mate.
That's it.
Ben, Jesus, Keesus. Anyway, do you want to go through your team, mate, and then we'll get as it stands right now, or with the trades that you anticipate making? Yeah, and then we'll get into some questions.
Let me put TDK back so I can just tell everyone at home my most likely team going into this week, pending the Doherty likes. My backline will be Sinclair, Whitfield, Zorko, Sheasel. They're the 4 keepers. Clark, Bo Allen, Stone, and Gray. So still a couple of upgrades to be made there, but they will be Mills and Nasiah Wanganeen-Millera. Will get D5 and D6 over the next 2 weeks. Midfield will be Bontempelli, Brayshaw, Lockie Neal, Zach Butters, Christian Petrarca, Jai Caldwell, Colby McKercher, and Hugh Boxall. When the buys dictate. Nick Dacos comes on for Boxall, Sheldrick comes on, and McKercher slips back into the back line. Actually, no, Petrarca slips into the forward line probably, and Sheldrick comes into that M8 spot. And my bench, Dacos, Sheldrick, Hustwaite. My rucks for this week are Sherry, Gawn, and Boyd, but Gawn might be gone next week if I continue on with my plan and trade him out. My forwards this week are Baz Smith. Hopefully, I say hopefully he comes back, but as a Bomber fan, maybe I hope he doesn't come back because he could get a million points this week. Matt Kennedy, Isaac Rankin, Caleb Daniel, Hewitt, and Keeler. And then Warner comes on for Keeler once his bye is done, and Simpson's a dead rook in that forward line. And then my flex TDK comes in this week to play against Matt Flynn and West Coast.
So Bailey Smith did not train today, and he's a chance not to play this week.
Yeah, look, it probably is the week that none of us are going to be really hurt by him not playing this week, are we really? I think we've all got less primos on the bye than most other bye weeks, with Collingwood, Sydney, Richmond being on a bye. I can't remember the other team, Gold Coast. So, I mean, I've only got 2 keepers and Sheldrick in my whole team that are on a bye. So if you're a bit like me, Baz out won't really hurt. I mean, it'll hurt some scoring a little bit for sure, but everyone's in the same boat. So it's not like one of your pods are injured. So that's just is what it is, I suppose. I won't be trading him even if he's out again.
No, that's right, mate. All right. Do you want to get into some questions?
Let's do it.
All right. Let me find the tab and let's rock and roll. Where is it? They've messed through my thing here, mate.
What have they done?
Here it is.
It's question time. Let's answer your questions for the week ahead.
Someone's been into the studio and changed the tabs around. Horsing me around. Skull. Jesus Christ. Deadly. I have a pizza in the oven. Life's good. Oh, the best staying is more concerning than Dean Cox's beard line. Rookie, how you doing, mate?
Hey, Rookie. Had a massive week this week too, Rookie. 2180 odd, I think it was.
I'll tell you what, there's a few people that are impressed with your numbers, Hurls. Armoured Frog, are you available to do his taxes?
Do you want to stay out of jail or?
Hawksy, how are you, mate? Redmond 3 weeks more means more merit of half back.
Possibly.
I'm not sure if I like that though.
No, it is what it is. I've been having some Twitter conversations with a really good mate of mine, Anth, who does some brilliant analysis work on Essendon games. If you're a Bomber fan, follow him. Anth Proc is his Twitter handle. And he was trying to talk about how the merit role worked, and that because Chincotta tagged him, it meant Carlton played a forward less and all that. And while I get that, I think it also meant that we played 17 on 17 rather than 17 on 18 by moving Merritt into the middle or half forward. And I think Geelong will just expose it. Like, Geelong are too smart. I've been saying this in our Patreon all week. I'm more nervous about this matchup with our inexperienced and undersized backline than any other in the comp, because Cameron, Stengel, they'll push the winger forward, Dempsey. They'll really expose our lack of accountability and handovers. And those kids like Zach Johnson and Clark, while they've been doing a great job and I love what they're doing, they probably do need an experienced head back there. So Martin and Merritt are going back to help them. But I still think it's going to be a problem this week against Geelong. And it's no good for our SuperCoach teams, which is why you saw I'm planning to trade Merritt out. I don't want a bar of Merritt at halfback and Merritt being tagged and Merritt on the round 16 bye, and our fixture into the finals is shit as well. So I'm just getting off now. I didn't want to buy him in the first place because I hate owning Essendon Primos. And it's a lesson for me to not do it next year.
Dale, can we trust McKercher and Clarkson not to ruin the role? I think so. He's come out and said that he wants to try and keep his players in a one position type of format for the rest of the year. So hopefully we see Sheasel more mid than forward, and hopefully we see McKercher more defence than forward. But it could be the new, we called it the CKC last year, the Luke Ryan to Jordan Clark type of operators, Caleb Daniel and Colby McKercher just playing kick to kick with each other.
Absolutely. For those of us who are going to McKercher, that still also have Caleb Daniel and Harry Sheasel, we want the structure to be that last quarter. It was perfect for the three of them. We had Sheasel in the middle winning clearances, and we had McKercher with the overlap run off half back, Daniel with the safe 45 kicks across half back to McKercher, and vice versa. If they stay like that, which, geez, you would think they have to. If all the commentary coming out of North at the moment is this was the plan for the back half of the year. Now, can we trust Clarko? Probably not. But what do we do? I mean, I think if I'm going to be burnt by McKercher coming in with a break even of 25 in a role that is very SuperCoach friendly, I think I'd rather be burnt by that than being burnt by, a 600K bloke going from half back to half forward like Whitfield. So I'll take the punt and see how we go.
Dale again. Everyone's sleeping on O'Driscoll. Should be back this week. Yeah, if he is, I'm still not interested, mate. If his name was Bontempelli or Butters and he'd had 6 to 8 weeks off at the top level, then maybe. But I think it'll still take O'Driscoll a little while to get going.
Yeah, and he's going to go into the wing role. That's where he predominantly plays. He might get an occasional centre bounce. But I think, again, who are we to read into Justin Longmuir? But
Luke Jackson's taken that role now.
Yeah, Jackson in that midfield is where they should go and stay. Hayden Young's still a while off, but I think, Fife came in for his first run back and was sub. If he doesn't stay sub, he's another centre bounce mid. I don't think O'Driscoll's getting any centre bounce time. And so you're buying into a winger. Yes, he can score on the wing, and we've seen that, but I don't want to buy into that kind of player for the run home.
My man, Chris, how are you, mate? If anyone still has Bustlinger, he's a big chance to come back this week. I did hear the same, mate. Just want to highlight.
Strange that he didn't come in last week. They brought in
Gardner was shocking last week.
Terrible. And I don't often agree with Kingy because I think he talks some crap, but I think he's right. Gardner's not. He's a 28-year-old that they know what he is, and they still brought him in over Bustlinger. The only trouble, if you are thinking bus, and I know, Chris, you're talking about if you've still got him, you might get a bit of a surprise and an upside. Don't go there though if you don't have him, because
that's right.
Jones came back too, so they might go to Liam Jones over Bustlinger as well.
Yep. There's one other here. Aqua HD. Well, they said they want the ball in Kirch's hands. That's right. And that's really only going to happen off halfback. Spot on, mate.
Yeah.
Tim Michelle said that, what's his name? Tom, the new guy for West Coast. I'm having a mental blank.
McCarthy.
Yeah. He'll be in his flex. So don't trade him in no matter what.
Yeah.
I think I'm happy to bring him in at the 99K though.
Yeah. Everyone, people will buy him, right? I don't have an issue with buying Tom McCarthy. What we were just saying before was, if you can afford to wait until he's played a game or two, just to give you that little safety net in case he gets injured or something, then you can. But if you need to unlock the cash, and that's the way to do it. Like this week, in all honesty, there's some speculative rookies, but the main cash generator this week is Zach Johnson from the Bombers.
That's right.
But we both, Barry, for the Bombers, and even we couldn't guarantee that he's got job security post round 16 bye. If Redmond and these guys come back, there's every chance Johnson doesn't play. Now, as a Bombers fan who loves the look of Johnson, I hope he plays all year. But we've seen that Brad Scott will want to get that back line having synergy again. So the minute Reed, Ridley, Mackay, Redmond are available, they will come in because they've played about 4 games of their life together. So the more they play together, the better it is. And that will probably mean Zach Johnson and these others don't get a game. So you probably Tom McCarthy's your best bet as a job security 99k bloke.
Yeah.
So that's why people are going there.
Armoured Frog 99k and getting a game at the arse end of the season works for me. Works for me as well. Looking forward to having a beer with that man come the end of the year. Skull, we're going to have Kerry O'Keefe, the Skull Man, having a beer with us round 24 as well. And I can tell you, mate, that just early on, there is one thing that we are going to be bringing along, and it's the green and the red vest on the day. So I know you won't start with the red vest, mate, but I'm keeping an eye on you, son.
I might have the red vest. If I have like 3 drinks, I'll be out.
Trading Primos takes a lead out of my pencil. Absolutely does. Chris Davis, if you didn't have Merritt, would you trade Zorko? Very interesting question.
Yes, 100% categorically, he would be the next cab off the rank. In fact, Chris, when I'm tossing up this week which one was the most expendable, I went exactly to those 2 blokes, Merritt and Zorko. And Zorko would be my next one at 522k. He's just been too inconsistent. Could absolutely trade Zorko.
Zorko or Lockie Neal?
No, I'm not as big a critic of Lockie Neal. I think he has had some lower than expected games, but he hasn't been horrible, and he's still got the same role he's always had. Okay. So look, you got 92.89 a crap, but then 143, 116, 124, 139. I think these ceiling scores are important, and yes, Zorko gets the occasional one as well. But I think Zorko, you can replace Zorko with someone like a Nas for the same price, and I think Nas is going to be much more consistent. So that's probably why I'd go Zorko over Lockie Neal. I do get the theory both ways though.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Jess, love the Darcy shout. Hurls, he's my final upgrade target.
Yep.
Ripper bloke that man is. Higo. I reckon Higo might even be in America right now, and if he's not, it's probably only a week or 2 away. Higo's playing at the World Series of Poker in Las Vegas. Hurls. Hi, boys. Love the planning, Hurls. In round 16, you flexible with the Meek pick. Like you said, Darcy is an option on his return. Hawks have the worst matchup for rucks remaining. Being flex spot helps you. Yeah,
I am. I'm really flexible with that last spot. I've probably got maybe 5 guys in mind. Meek, Horn Francis, Jack McRae, who might get down to about that price again. And if he shows that he can get back to the really early start of the year, those 160 scores, well, I'll be interested there too. So I'm not locked into those last couple. What I've tried to do with my plan is I want to be as locked in as possible to this week and next, because it gets me to 22 the quickest. And then that last spot, I can be really sort of flexible with. It could be Meek, it could be Jack McRae, it could be Pickles, it could be Darcy, it could be anyone in that 400 to 460, 470k range is where I'll be shopping for that last one.
Saying Cripper on our Patreon video puts the lead back in his pencil. Yeah, Armoured Frog.
Sorry.
Sweet could return this week.
He could, but he's crap as well. Max Gorn will have his way with any of them.
Yeah.
I think Sweet was the opponent when he got his 177 last year, wasn't he? I could be wrong. Maybe it wasn't, but I would imagine Sweet was the choice back then.
I'd have to research that.
Yeah.
Keys is in the chat. He'll be able to tell us. JCR, the Lord Keys, how good was watching the game last week? Yeah, I was getting pretty excited, mate, myself. Yeah. Skull again. Keys has got Horse the win over Hurls this week. Let's talk about it.
I have to concede this, Skull. It wasn't just Keys. Horse beat me playing one short. So, yes, Keys 120. If you want to be really technical, he did get him over the line by, I think it was, what was it, Horse? Maybe 20 points? By 20 points or something. Yeah. But it was 18 versus 17, and my lowest score was a 70-something. So no excuses from my mob, Skull. It was shit house.
I'll take him wherever I can get him, Skull. Let me tell you, mate. He'll have me at the end of the year. He's got me for rank at the moment. What are you? Just 6,000?
6,065.
Yeah, I think I'm just outside the top 8,000. So you've got me by a little bit at the moment, mate. Here you go. Chester will be around 400. Oh, fuck off with this Campbell Chester bullshit. IJ. Now, he is a pronunciation enthusiast when it comes to names in the AFL, namely Wanganeen Malera, Doc Hurdy, and now this is Brian Myers.
Oh, I'm like, who's Green Mears?
Thoughts on Green Mears?
I heard a few people talking about him today. Again, not the role that I'm chasing in SuperCoach. I get the soft fixture. He's a gun player. He's good to watch. So I'm not going to say don't go there, but it's not the role that I would chase.
Yeah.
For Green Mears.
Yeah. Pete, how are you, mate? Legend of a bloke, Pete is. Docs, the go up the grandpas.
The grandpas are firing up this year.
Aren't they?
Yeah, look, I do like Doc, although I hope we don't get 100 likes because I don't want to bring him in.
We're edging 30, so the people are starting to listen. With you both saying Eston have a horrible run, Merritt may not be the choice, but would you suggest to not pick Martin due to the fixture? I would say don't pick Martin because of what happened on the weekend with Parrish. As soon as Parrish came back, they moved him out of that midfield rotation again.
I'm a little bit different to that. I don't think Martin is as... and maybe our man Brody can have a look at this. I don't know if he's got the stats for next week that he could go, where does Martin get his points from? Like he's never really been a centre bounce mid. We just saw 2 weeks of it and it looked great. But he's been a good scorer at halfback. He's been a good scorer in the half forward, rolling up everywhere. I don't think Martin is as, I guess, susceptible to the same problems as Merritt when he's not centre bounce. The fixture is a bit of an issue, but I think we've seen, and look, coaches can change. So I'm not saying that this can't happen, but we've seen that teams are putting time into Merritt no matter where Merritt plays. And if that continues, Martin's the one that gets off the chain. And so I think he's still in the conversation for F1 to F3 if you want to go there. There's a little risk that they start changing the tag from Merritt to Martin. But what will happen then is Merritt will go off. And so I think that there's 2 of them gives me a little bit of comfort that Martin will be okay.
That's fair, mate. Where are we now? Thomas Jack. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Prestia last played 10 games in a row in 2019. There you go.
True. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest, Thomas. I don't trust him.
Deadly's getting stuck in me. Nice button presser, this bloke. Unreal. Froggy, who's your final forwards, Hurls?
My final forward line will be Smith, Kennedy, Rankin, Caleb Daniel, Christian Petrarca, and Warner. So I've already got it. I'm not bringing in any more forwards unless they are a DPP like Horn Francis, and they will then sit in M8.
Yeah, beautiful. Sorry, I'm just going through liking. You're a very popular man, mate. So I'm just going through the comments.
It's the 1 week where I don't want to be too popular because it means I'll have to bring in another Carlton player, and I'm not happy with that. But
not happy with it. Paul Allen. Hey, Paul. Nice of you tuning in, mate. Grand Mears has a crazy run. 2 Richmonds, a North, and 2 Essendons. Get in. I have Holmes and I have Bailey Smith, and I'm looking for another Geelong player, mate. Absolutely.
I get it, but I just don't want to bring in. I'm a stickler for role. Like if I knew that Lockie Whitfield was playing half forward, if I knew Merritt was moving a half forward, if I knew at the start of the year Shees was moving a half forward, I wouldn't have touched any of them either. I just don't want the role at all. Now Rankin, there's another one that's now gone to half forward. Like if I knew these blokes were going there, I wouldn't touch them. So I'm not purposefully, proactively buying one.
Chris, would you jump on the Cozzy train? About to sign a monster contract. Left a big score out there last week. Must have had the invisibility cloak on.
No.
Pickett's always one that goes, his best is, or his good is really good. His poor is, the floor is like a Chad Warner floor.
Yeah. I don't want a bar of Pickett,
No.
but I get the attraction, but it's not
Absolutely.
for me.
Paul Allen again. Long, Lindsay, Merritt out for Johnson, Butters, and Hewitt. I think that'd be George Hewitt from Carlton. Thoughts? I like it.
Yeah.
Carlton have a good run home for midfielders as well. Hurls.
Yeah, it's not a bad option. If you like Hewitt, go there. I think I don't know, and I saw some numbers 2 weeks ago, so I don't know if it held true in the Essendon game. But the biggest difference between George Hewitt at the start of the year to George Hewitt of the last 3 weeks, where he dropped off a little bit, was his kick to handball ratio just fell through the floor. So if you trust that he can get back kicking the ball a bit more, then he gets back to that huge ceiling opportunity, then he's a good shout. But if you think he's going to stay like he's been in the last 3 weeks, then I'll probably go elsewhere. But that's just a personal preference.
For sure, mate. Where are we? TTSC. Thinking of trading Carroll, Hustwaite and Lindsay to McCarthy, Zach Johnson and Butters. Or should I go Hust, Roberts and Lindsay to Johnson, McKercher and Butters? Roberts is a funny one. I traded him out for Bailey Dale knowing that he was going to miss 2 weeks, and Bailey Dale was someone that I wanted, especially that Marvel run home. Roberts has been a bit disappointing.
Yeah. Look, there's a world where after the bye, Bice goes out, Sydney stay with the distributors being Roberts and Blakey only, and they ask Blakey to play attacking like they did, and so Roberts then can be the distributor as well. If there's 3 of them, I think Roberts is capped a little bit, but if there's 2 of them, he's probably got the ability to potentially be okay. It's hard to answer these questions of what am I doing this week without knowing what your plan is for next week and the week after, because if you need to move Roberts on because the cash that it releases to go to McKercher helps you get your 23rd primo, then I'm going to tick it off and say go for it. If you are holding him because trading around him helps you get your 23rd primo, I'm going to say holding works. But without knowing those bits of information, it's like giving you some advice with half the information. So it's hard to really say.
When does the round 24 fixture gets released? I think it's mid-July.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
they'll wait as much as they can so that they can set up some theatrics for the Sunday afternoon and all that kind of stuff. The one thing that I think will happen for the fixture, I've been saying for a little while, Essendon and Carlton will be Thursday night or Friday night at the latest, because and Gold Coast similar, because Essendon and Gold Coast have to play again, and with Gold Coast all but locked into finals, they can't disadvantage them any more than playing the following Wednesday, which gives them a 9 or 10 day break into the first final. So Gold Coast and Essendon really have to play in the early part of that weekend.
Yeah, I think so. Frankie, thoughts on Zorko and Neil? Is it worth dumping one of them for TDK or Nas?
Well, you've seen what I'm doing, Frank. I'm dumping Merritt, so I'm okay with dumping a Zorko or a Neil, particularly if your round 16 bye is a bit of a challenge, and you think that you can still get 23 primos no matter which way you go. I guess the hard thing to not be able to see here is Zorko or Neil to TDK and Nas doesn't unlock much cash. It's a bit sidewaysy, but if you can still get 23 and you trust TDK or Nas more than you trust Zorko and Neil, and it fixes a round 16 bye issue, then I think it's okay.
Yep. Here you go. At what price would Jackson need to drop to consider bringing him in? Too expensive at the moment. Geez, if he gets into the 500s, then you've got to consider him.
Here you go. I toyed with some calculations today of bringing Jackson in instead of TDK. I really, really would love to go there.
I would like him
but
too.
I just couldn't make it work. And so at 619, it was outside of my bracket. Like if you consider that I'm going TDK, who's 536, that 80,000 just meant that I was a bit screwed later on. So for me, the price range would have to be in the 540, 550 range. And I don't think he's going to get down to that. No. But if you can make it work, and I think you've got a few trades up your sleeve, you go, for memory. So if you do, and you could manufacture it, geez, it'd be a nice play coming home.
Wouldn't it? What else we got here? Kizza, fade gone was the worst fade last year for us. It was.
It's a big risk again. It's a huge risk again that I would be taking. There's only two reasons I'm considering it, Kizza. Unlocking 160 or 70K and his 3-round fixture, which is not the whole year, I know, but his 3-round fixture post-buy is pretty challenging. So I'm just taking a bit of a punt that it won't burn me completely, but I'm going into it eyes wide open that it could be a horrible move.
Hi, Jay. 100 likes tomorrow and you get green mirrors in horse.
They're big on these trying to get your team to be pretty mediocre, aren't they?
If 120 is mediocre, then paint me red and black and Geelong colours and call me Green Mayors. Tomorrow night, the Wednesday night show, if we get 100 likes on that show, I will bring in Grind Myers this week.
So we've got two challenges out there, ladies and gentlemen. If we get to 100 likes on tonight's episode, I'll go Sam Doherty. And tomorrow night's show, the preview show, if we get to 100, what was it, 100 or 120?
100 likes.
100. So 100 likes again on that show. Then Horse is going to back up his Ben Keys' trade in with a
Grind Myers. Yep.
There we go.
I'll do it. How many trades will we have next year? Paul Allen says, I vote 50. Fuck, I hope so when I'm trading in fucking Keys and these blokes.
Do you know what, Paul? This is going to... I laugh because when they said we were going to 40, was it last year, the first year of 40? I was dead set against it. I hated the idea. I thought, it's going to make it a little bit too easy. Geez, I'd kill for an extra 4 or 5 trades right now. So, yeah, I think I don't know if I'd love 50, but I certainly wouldn't mind 44 or something.
Nah, give me 50. I fucking need them. Will McKercher do all the kick-ins like he did last year? Was shitting out points for fun and can see him averaging around 120 for the rest of this season. That's from IJ. McKercher won't average 120, but I can see him, if he stays in that role, 105 is reasonable to expect.
Yeah, I think he can do 100 to 105. I think the trouble with the kick-ins is he's not going to get a monopoly on them. Caleb Daniels still going to take a fair few. Mm-hmm. And they're not going to play West Coast every week to allow the 1, 2, 3s, because it wasn't just 1, 2s. It was 3 possessions in chains that he was getting. So I think with peg it back a bit, yes, he'll have the odd spike game, but I think about 100 to 105 is realistic in that role.
Fuck, Grind Myers is a Ford only too. This is going to really hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, well. You win some, you lose some. Ahmed Frog. Plan is a word that gets used far too much around here. I operate on a series of random, hopefully fortunate events.
If it's any consolation, Ahmed, I use the word plan a lot, and I'd always change the plan a lot too. So it's just good to have one, but I don't stick to them. Like if I haven't done this, but I might go back during the week and have a look at my buy planning. I don't think I stuck to one of those moves that I was going to make.
Yeah, right. Interesting. Paul, if not Hewitt, who to trade in? TDK. Maybe.
I love TDK as a trade in.
Oh, against what's his name this week? Flynn.
Yeah. I think, look, TDK carries some risk, and the risk is as he gets tired, as we saw early in the year, he doesn't get ahead or behind the ball enough. And so that's a risk that then he gets capped at 100, 110. But I think if you're talking flex in particular, now I'm going him R2, which is a huge risk because I'm going to unlock the cash from gone. But if you're going flex, 100 to 110 is bloody awesome. And if you're going R2, you're just taking a bit of a gamble like I am, that TDK plus the 23rd bloke outscores gone and a donkey. That's what you're trying to bank on,
That's
right?
what you're hoping for.
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty much bang on, mate. Corey, shout out to Corey as well. He won the squeeze of the week this week. Corey, please send us your details to either myself or Squid and we'll sort you out, mate. If I can go Neil and get Nas, If I go Zorko, I can only get to Doherty. Which way would you go?
I think the lesson in this one is, who do you want? and then trade out either. Like, I wouldn't judge my trade ins on who I have to get rid of, if that makes sense. I would go, who do I want, Nas or Doc? And if I want Nas, then that dictates that Neil goes. Because if you're comfortable getting rid of either Neil or Zorko, if that's in your head, that round 16 buys a problem, they've both been yo-yos, I'm comfortable to get rid of one of them, and I don't care which one, then I would go whichever of those two, Nas or Doc, you want to do, with a little asterisk of what does the plan look like. Again, I keep saying this. If getting Doc allows you to get a better 22 and 23rd bloke, then I can justify that over Nas as well. But that's, again, I can't see your plans for the next few weeks. It's hard to make these calls in isolation.
Yep. TR, if Marich keeps playing on the wing like he has the past 3 weeks and McCarthy is flex and not on kicking duties, do we bring Dewar in? I would wait until team sheets come out to see, one, how the team is structured up, and two, if you're on Twitter, follow Ryan Daniels and Ashley Nelson. And Xavier Ellis. They're the big three from Perth that are really good at giving us a bit of insight as to how both West Coast and Freo are planning on structuring up over there. That's who I follow, and that's where I get my sources for, or most of our sources. We do have a couple of people over there that won't be named due to them giving us some pretty spicy stuff, but they're the three that I look at on social media in regards to team structures and what have you.
Just on Tyrell Dewar, he looks good, but I would be extremely reluctant going to 176k rookie, which means you're not unlocking much cash.
That's right.
Second point, are you going to trade him back out? So are you using him as a cash grab? And if you are, then that's maybe a different story because he's got a negative 36 break even and you don't need him to do too much. But if you're buying him because you think he's going to have good job security and good scoring for the rest of the year, you're going off one random score, 90. Like the rest are 51, 6, 12, 31, 34. Like a 90 against North as a one-off, I'm not buying that.
No. Paul again. To each of you, who's the one player you would bring in if money and trades didn't matter? I'd say Zach Butters because I can't get him this week.
Yeah, and I think probably Jackson.
And Jackson, yeah.
Jackson's he's in the frame for F1 or F2 and I just can't get him. And Nick Martin wouldn't be far behind because he's in the frame for F2 or F3 and I can't get either of them, which sucks.
Peter Wern, to finish us off, TDK at flex is about as flexible as I am.
It's perfect flex, I reckon.
Don't lie, Pete. You're a gymnast.
Can I just add one comment on the ruck, the third ruck at flex? It's obviously the first year we've ever had flex, so this is a bit of an experiment. Those who have had a third ruck in flex so far have said it's not overly flexible, pardon the pun, and so it is a bit of a concern. So what I would encourage you to do in your trading around it is try to have lots of DPP on your field. So if you've got, for example, Tom McCarthy as a defensive mid, plus a McKercher as a defensive mid, plus a Sinclair and a Sheasel, there's 4 defense mids you can swing. And then if you've got maybe an extra forward mid like a Pickles, Horn Francis, a Petrarca, a Warner, and these kind of guys that you can swing. Like if you've got a lot of flexibility in your team, I think holding the ruck at flex is okay. But if you've got no flexibility, if all of your mids are mid only, I think having a ruck in flex might hurt too much in the run home.
Yep. I think so too. 2 more. Steedsy, sick of taggers, looking at Neil and Nick Dacos to Jackson and TDK. That would be a very, very ballsy move.
I love it though. I think there's real merit in it. Look, with every move we're talking about at this time of the year, unless you're set up beautifully to be able to have 2 upgrades left and you can do it from rookies, if you're like me and you're trying to find creative ways to get to 23 with 10 trades left, these are the kind of moves you have to think about. And I don't mind it because you've got logic in it. So you're getting rid of taggers. You're bringing in 2 rucks, and rucks don't get tagged. I don't mind that move at all.
And Frankie, last one. Is Mills an option as a D8? Cash gen a worry next 2 weeks to finish my side by the end of the bye rounds? Absolutely, he is.
Lock it in, Frank. Lock it in. Mills is going to be everyone's D6 or flex, so lock it in.
Where can the people at home find you, Hurls?
Twitter, X, whatever it's called these days. Point down, do I? So people can see it at Silvertop Hurls. Come and say g'day. Spend far too much time talking about SuperCoach and Essendon and stuff like that on there, but you can find me there, and probably find me tomorrow night on the preview show, unless we have some special guests that I don't know about yet, but we'll see how that goes tomorrow. And we'll talk all things round 14.
Spot on. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. As we do each and every show, we do like to try and break the stigma around the mental health battle that people may be going through, and reminding everyone that it's okay not to be okay. So if you do have those thoughts that are running through your head, or whether you're feeling down or what have you, it is okay to reach out to someone, be it a loved one, a friend, a family. There's Beyond Blue, there's Lifeline, there's several helplines out there that can help you get you through a time of need if you are going through those dark times or having those dark thoughts. So remember, you are the most important person on this earth, and it is okay not to be okay, and it's not weak to speak. Ladies and gentlemen, Hurls and I are signing off. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Remember, 100 likes on this video. Hurls has to fuck up his plans and bring in Doc this week. Tomorrow night, Wednesday night, it's our preview show. Get in and around it. 100 likes on that show. And I have to bring in Grind Myers, that's right. It's going to fuck my plans, but you can't disappoint a SuperCoach community like ours. So until then, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you then.